Listen to that crowd, though.
Going to be a ridiculously hard task. We've actually already heard the TSM chants coming out, almost drowning us out during the pregame there. But this is a Korean team on home soil. TSM yet to beat that. And they are ready to go. In a best of 5, let alone. They have to go the long haul, something that Korean teams practice in regularly.
And this matchup in mid lane, we just quickly talked about it before.
Yeah.
Due to the fact that Pawn actually decided to get Exhaust as his summoner spell, it's going to make it very hard for Bjergsen to all in him, and that's heavily in favor of the Jayce pick because you can poke from range so much.
Yeah, it also makes team fighting really difficult for Bjergsen in the late game. Sometimes you can bait out one exhaust in a team fight and fight again. Getting rid of 2 of them's a wee bit harder there. And it will really, really mean that TSM has to pull ahead in the early game.
Yeah, and just a small little funny thing about the mid lane, because Zed now appears behind his target on Jayce, Jayce can actually knock him away like he used to be able to and can't deny him a lot of the damage. Instead, though, Bjergsen should be able to get the damage here. As long as Dandy isn't there, he should be fine.
Well, the early game here is going to start off quite quiet. Nobody really wants to get themselves into too much danger, but that doesn't mean they're going to not go for the late invade on this one. We can see that Dyrus and Amazing and kind of the buddy system up by Wraiths, and that bottom half covered by Pawn.
It's actually pretty impressive where Samsung White have gotten their wards as of now. Some pretty deep positions, and that's somewhat required for trying to force an early lane swap.
Yep, they are going to try and get into this one a little sneaky style, but we'll see if they can actually grab all of these. See if Amazing is put off and they can get a 3-buff start here.
Yeah, so what TSM is doing, even though they probably know Samsung White wants to lane swap top, you don't want to give up the bottom lane advantage, so you want to send your stronger bottom lane down there. You have the Dragon. Problem is, they
TSM
didn't go in and try and check the red buff, even though they should have expected this lane swap.
They got 3 buffed.
Yeah,
super hard. It should never happen in this situation, just based on the fact that there's Twitch. You have to expect the Twitch top lane, you have to expect the invade, and if TSM needs to start on a buff, they need to start on the red buff of Samsung White, which they did not do.
And the thing is, you could actually see they knew, because they started running in there like, oh, we're actually too late now. So they knew they had to go there, just didn't react in time. Small advantage for White here.
And the pressure is on. The minions falling in front of Bjergsen, getting hardly any of those first waves. 9-6. Should be all right as he tries to go toe-to-toe with Pawn in the mid lane. Does not want to go down solo, and that is definitely an option for Pawn to get at with that exhaust on him. We'll see what they can keep doing. Dyrus is going to try to be with Amazing on the bottom side of the jungle. See if they can keep themselves safe here.
Yeah, I honestly feel like TSM's already on the back foot a little bit.
Yep.
You can tell Dyrus and Amazing are looking for things to do in a jungle that's really already been cleared, and unless they're willing to fast push that turret, they're just giving easy farm to him. They have no pressure on that side of the map.
No, but what they're basically doing is just stay down here in case Looper shows up in the bottom lane, and then they can dive in 4 people. Even if Mata joins, it's going to be 4 versus 2 in favor of TSM. So you see both 80 carries. They're not freezing the lanes. You don't really do that as often anymore. It's a lot more focus on pushing in to the tower. Make sure you deny farm and experience from the enemy top laner. And if he shows up, you're on the bottom side of the map to dive him. Notice how they're already pinging on Looper.
Here's the strangest thing, though. I see Imp wasn't even freezing that top lane. He's already pushed up the turret. In normal circumstances, that's actually cue for the TSM top laner to go up there and get the experience of the turret. Yet Dyrus is still level 1, and he's recalling on some of the spectacular wards from Samsung White.
Yeah, so the reason Dyrus actually didn't go top lane was because he didn't know if Samsung White had 4 members on the top side. He was waiting to see their reaction. As soon as he spotted Looper bottom lane, he now knows he can actually get to top lane.
Mata with the grab onto Lustboy. He's going to be forced to walk back through the aggression, but Turtle is there to provide some safety. The mismatches and mismoves here by Team Solo Mid, like you said, Jet, definitely put him behind. There's a lot of game to go as the goal is to leave him.
It's ridiculous right now what has happened. Look at the top lane discrepancy. Dyrus has 0 CS. Looper's finished his tier. That is not even close. The fact that Looper was able to get his tier during the lane swap before Dyrus gets a CS is really one-sided.
TSM had all the members on the bottom side hoping to get a dive on Samsung White if Looper showed up, but because Mata joined, because Dandy was nearby, they couldn't do it. And suddenly, the risk they took it backfired completely, and now Dyrus has lost a lot of farm in the top lane.
And this is one of the things that is a big struggle for TSM, especially in the lane swaps, would be the team-wide communication. It's not a weakness that has really shown its ugly head lately, but it's something that used to be a big deal for TSM. Dyrus needs to be able to fend for himself, and the team needs to be able to fend for Dyrus, which has not happened early on in this match.
And that weakness is something that Samsung White latches onto. The quickest games in their group, it's because they don't play with their food. They go for seconds, they go for thirds. Yeah, arguably the weakest group, but they made the #1 Chinese team look pretty average throughout that group as well, so they know what they're doing.
I mean, just looking back to when they're playing Korea, I mean, they're the team who has the highest amount of kills in their wins compared to everyone else, because once they get the lead, they are so good at just snowballing it completely and never give you a chance to come back. Dyrus has the flash.
Yeah, and you can bet your bottom dollar that Dandy will be back to that lane, and they're going to continue to keep Dyrus down. They've exposed an early vulnerability right here, and expect some substantial punishment towards Dyrus.
One of the things we also see is Samsung White does have some of the least wards placed, but that's because they get them so deep in. They're so efficiently placed. Yeah, it might be the shortest games, but they just crush down in the most efficient spots, so you don't have to actually put down as many in that early game.
I mean, look at the wards they have now. They've already covered the side of the map with which they want to attack.
Right.
That's actually something that White did a little bit in the group stage that probably we won't see here in the quarterfinals, is they made some moves into places where they did not have vision because they were playing a little bit fast and loose. They're going to clean up their game for this match against TSM, most likely.
Yeah, normally when we see them play, they pre-plan their moves a lot, so now they have the deep wards here. They can go for the red buff when it spawns soon. Imp, just keep trading with Dyrus here. The important part for Dyrus, however, is the fact he's getting experience in this top lane.
Thing that TSM has to remember is there's really nothing to lose when these fights start to break out. They gotta try their hardest to make it happen. See if that can really come from something in the top lane. We know that Looper can make the plays individually. Can Dyrus get on that teleport level as well?
Yeah, well, the short answer is probably not.
Right.
As far as Dyrus being able to match Looper's teleport. But the long answer is that the longer this period of inactivity lasts for Samsung White, the higher their percentage chance of winning this game. The composition that White picked here was actually incredibly high risk. They picked a weak Twitch lane, they picked 2 solo laners that rely on Tear of the Goddess. So the only thing they want to do in the early game is go even. The fact that they're actually up 300 to 400 gold with experience and level advantages in multiple lanes bodes incredibly well for them for the rest of this game.
Yeah, and you see the way they decide to handle this early game, because they know they have to get this Ryze out of his weaker mid-game, we can say, into the late game. What they just did right here was, as soon as Imp saw Dyrus use teleport in the top lane, he started recalling and went down bottom lane. And then Luba could just teleport top lane, pick up the entire wave, which was just pushed into the tower, because he still have the teleport left, and Dyrus is now forced to go back for even further behind in farm. So they're investing so much gold and experience into this Ryze pick here. Look how far ahead Lupa is compared to Dyrus. That was such a good teleport.
1,200 gold in his pocket right now that he's just sitting on. It's 400 gold overall above Dyrus, but those items are completed for him, and Dyrus is still trying to stack rings to stay alive in that lane, so he's not towards his items at all.
What White has done so far is definitely very impressive, and you can see now that the lanes have swapped back, they're kind of through their period of total weakness. The only vulnerability that White has right now would be the fact that Wild Turtle did farm up that BF sword against just the Cutlass of Imp, but combined with all the other edges, it's really just been quite a great first 9 minutes for White here in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, but TSM right now, you just talked about how 80 carry items is a difference. They should be able to pressure this bottom lane now. Punish Imp for the fact that Samsung White decided to swap to standard lanes to give Looper time up in his top lane to be one-on-one as well. They need to put pressure on this bottom lane here and shut down Imp while Wild Turtle is a lot stronger at this point. You see the way Imp is playing as well. Go in, try and last it, back away. You cannot trade with Lucian at this point.
White playing it very smart right now with the slight lead that they have. Something that TSM can hold on to very well when they get it, but it does not come very easily for them, especially in that early game. See if Imp can get all this farm right in front of the turret as the rest of the team stays safe, stacking it up. We see that mid lane focus of Pawn versus Bjergsen. Pawn comes out, all the long swords to keep dishing out the damage, and Bjergsen's trying to match as he builds up his brutalizer.
Matza just throwing back the lantern here to make TSM think there's a jungler, so they back away here, give him a bit more time to farm, and playing a few mind games, because if he does that a few times and the jungler never shows up, the third or fourth time he's going to do it, suddenly the jungler is there.
And that's one thing that Samsung White does so well, is none of the lanes are telling, even if Dandy is around, there's always a chance that he is in that brush.
Yeah, and it's always a bad sign when Mata has the freedom to throw his shield back for nothing, because that means he's not getting harassed. And they're not actually eating that shield for fights. So TSM is still playing this laning phase, honestly a little bit scared. At this point in the game, they should be trying to find ways to take control of the Dragon area. However, they've waited 12 minutes, they allowed Imp to be in the top lane, and they never pressured an early Dragon, which is normally one of the rewards you get to reap early on in a laning phase.
Yeah, especially because, again, you have the pressure in the bottom lane. In mid lane, you have kill potential because Zed has Cutlass as his first item, so his all-in potential is great. Amazing could join in. As long as they know where Dandy is on the map, they could try and go for some ganks here, but he's just been sitting back and farming, like we often see on Kha'zix, where Elise is strong in the early game, and therefore TSM has just been playing it very safe.
And we just saw previously Pawn jumping onto Bjergsen, really punishing the use of his abilities to farm. Bjergsen just walked away from that instance, didn't get an auto attack in, didn't throw his blades out with a Q. He's timing his attacks well. The reason a Pawn is just a menace in that mid lane.
And that's one of the things about Jayce in mid lane. You don't have to necessarily destroy your lane and kill people. You can get your tier early.
Tier stacking. That's all he's doing right now.
Stack up your tier slowly. Be ready for the first dragon fight instead. You don't need to bully your own lane. So they're just going fairly even in farm here, but this tier is going to stack up faster and faster, and suddenly Jayce is going to become super strong, going in towards this mid game where we're going to get the poke wars.
And it's definitely going to go to mid game, maybe even late game, because the mobility hadn't really started yet. I mean, up until that last back a few seconds ago for TSM, no one on their entire team had boots. They weren't going to be moving around and trying to make plays, which plays right into the hands of Samsung White if they're just going to sit in lanes and allow these Tier of the Goddesses to stack up. Now, with that being said, it's because White is doing great things to eliminate TSM's option. The lane swap at the start, the Sightstone rush by Dandy to flood the map with wards is just making it so that TSM did walk somewhere, it would be spotted and actually be an inefficient move for TSM. But right now, everything is in the favor of Samsung White.
Looper realizing he has the upper hand in that consistently defensive lane in the top, and now he starts to go a little bit aggressive. Dyrus is definitely having some trouble. We saw his Lulu play at a 1-1-9, so he may be getting bullied. Oh, here comes the teleport from Looper. This is the action that the Samsung White can create. Looper comes down immediately when the team engages.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be wanting to go for Dragon right here, but this would be TSM's chance to collapse on a team. They haven't really scaled up yet. They're still sitting on those tiers. They get this Dragon, it's an even bigger win. They just get it.
Completely pre-planned.
No reaction at all.
Dyrus isn't pushing super hard. He isn't teleporting. TSM had to burn flashes away. They didn't necessarily have vision control, and they weren't willing to engage in a fight that quickly. So that's not good for TSM. That's great for Samsung White.
So what we just saw here as well from Looper was instant teleport down. As soon as there was any chance of any action, he's going to teleport down because he knows, even if he doesn't get a kill, he can go towards the Dragon here. There was no reaction from Dyrus at all. Had he teleported down instantly as well, TSM should have been able to contest this Dragon.
He may be known as a quiet guy, but actions speak louder than words in a lot of cases, and Looper makes that happen with the teleport. Been from one Worlds to another, and right now they're laying it down as one of the best here at Worlds, and a favorite. Pawn picking up blue buff, that is going to help him continuously harass. He's already on the Manuun in the mid lane.
Now there is a teleport advantage for TSM right now, because Dyrus still has his up, but there's no Dragon to go for, so instead, he's gonna have to try and go for a play down towards this bottom side of the map if they want to try and get an advantage from the teleport.
Teleport advantages actually have to be towards objectives. And at the moment, they can't really do things. Every lane is still posturing defensively for Samsung White. They try to do a bottom lane. Mata can Lantern Imp away. Maybe they try for a teleport play mid lane, but that would only come off of Samsung White aggression and be used as a counter-engage tactic. So at the moment, everything is being dictated by Samsung White. They have better vision control. They're actually invading into the pink wards, and 14 to 15 minutes into the game, probably for the next 10 minutes or so, is actually when TSM should be stronger. So at the moment, they're trading turrets. That's not the worst thing in the world. TSM, though, they have to do something.
Yes, and again, I know you obviously want to get a dragon from your teleport, but you can also send Darius down to a different lane and apply pressure and teleport top lane if he needs to defend it here. But while Turtle in his bottom lane, we talked about how Lucian was a lot stronger.
It's a good push for
at
TSM.
this point. He's really getting some pressure on this side and getting a tower.
Look at that CS advantage. 30 CS over the top of Imp. He will do his Infinity Edge rush as well. But at the moment, Imp has that Blade of the Ruin kick.
Yeah, so that's the trade Samson White decided to do when they sent Lupa top lane to get all this farm here. Fight in mid lane.
Amazing, getting hit up pretty hard. He does get hooked in, but the rest of the team is there. This could be Dandy going down. First blood going to Team Solo Mid, but White has acted on this as well. A great flash over from Lustboy, but that could feed Dade, or Pawn rather, exactly what he wants. Bjergsen's gonna get knocked away.
Oh,
does he finalize the kill? The Ignite's there, the exhaust lasted so long. Maka with a godlike hook from over the wall to save Pawn's rear.
Right in the jungle right there, Pawn juked Bjergsen. It turned a 2-for-1 into, well, turned a 2-for-2 into a 2-for-1, and the one team fight the TSM blew their teleport advantage on falls in the favor of White.
Yeah, Lupa just joined the fight instantly himself. Even without the teleport there, he was down towards this bottom side, and then the exhaust from Jayce was perfect onto Zed.
They'd already killed the top turret. There was no reason for him to go back top lane. Darius was freezing. It's not like he teleported from a point of pressure. But yeah, take another look at this one.
So they jump in here on Dandy. They actually have a lot of members from TSM because they know they have to teleport, but they're not expecting Lupa to join in at this point. As soon as he comes in, it's actually 5 versus 5.
And here's the thing. This is actually exactly what Bjergsen wanted. He wanted to flank Pawn when he went for the fight. Obviously, the exhaust was super critical, but this play by Pawn right here, in the brush, I don't know where Bjergsen was going there. Just the wrong direction, trying to finish off Pawn. He had no vision in the brush. He just guessed the wrong side, I suppose.
Yeah, by that point as well, you can't really get out. I mean, either you try and go and trade 1-for-1.
But that's absolutely what he was trying to do.
Yeah. If you start running away here, they're going to catch you anyway and kill you.
Well, great plays all around. We see how fast Samsung White can collapse on Team Solo Mid, trying to make plays in the jungle. And now that that side of the jungle is littered with wards, we'll see where the teams decide to go. Safety there for TSM. They may be able to get in. Amazing can try to hinder Dandy's jungle, who we actually haven't seen too much play from. We usually know him for counter ganking, or counter jungling rather, and trying to get in the other jungler's face.
But the idea from Team Solo Mid, it wasn't bad, because they knew they had to teleport. They were expecting to be 5 versus 4. They had the wards in the jungle, so it was a good idea. But because Loop had already recalled from top lane and he knew what's going to happen, they actually ended up also losing a bot tower for it.
So 17 minutes in, that about 1,000 gold lead still stands. It's been closed down a little bit. 2-1 in turrets.
Time for TSM to try and make a play. Looper is a pretty hard person to dive.
Oh, this is not what can happen when you're going for these dives. Lustboy goes down.
And one step ahead is kind of the story of this game. Now Imp is also in assassination mode, so both sides of the map are winning for White.
Entire game long, Darius has basically been sitting in a lane trying to farm because he's been behind, but he's not been able to do anything. Imp has been able to bully him. Lupa in the top lane did the same. And up here in this top side, there's already wards placed by Samson White. They saw it coming a mile away.
Oh, history starting to repeat itself. White gets a bit of a lead, and they start to just continue rolling that on. Imp fearlessly going between that bottom lane, or actually going after Darius, I should say. The turret was already down, but those turrets being down as well, we hear White did not lose a lot of turrets throughout the group stages. No. Now TSM's trying to get the better of that.
Yeah, with the lane swapping is the main reason that TSM was able to pick up those turrets, and honestly, at this point in the game, the gold is still somewhat close. However, the tiers are very close to being completed. The stacking is almost there for White, where it will become a level in which TSM cannot win a fight. At the moment, White is trying to poke them off the Dragon Pit. Imp, though, exposed himself because he has backup.
Oh, Bjergsen trying to get out of this one. The poison can take him down, but the Wild Growth is a save there. Retribution kill on each side. They get 1 and 1, and they're going to back off.
But count the ultimates right here. Amazing actually gets him pretty low. Here's the fight.
Amazing out of this one. He's already done what he can. He tries to get back in. A great monsoon from Lustboy. Darius is still alive. So many low health bars, and they're able to finish off Dandy there, as well as Amazing. The junglers are out. On to Lustboy as Mata locks in another one and brings the team over for another kill.
Yeah, so many ultis was used in the start of the fight, killing Imp in here. So once Samson White joined in, re-engaged against Team Solo Mid, they were just a stronger team. They managed to get the picks here once again. We do have to highlight the fact that Imp is a player who will constantly play aggressive, and that was a good job by Bjergsen to actually try and punish him for overextending a little bit. Sadly for him, the team was ready to join in.
And Looper's going to be an unstoppable force pretty soon. 303 on Ryze already. Take another look at this one. It is remarkable to me, actually, how despite TSM having the Janna, who is meant to split the enemy team up, TSM is the team that's always more split up, and White is always the team that seems to be together. Every time TSM thinks they have a kill, it's White that has the backup. Every time White thinks they have a kill, it's an isolated member of TSM that falls prey. Looking amazing. Look at the rest of TSM. All of White are staying together. Lustboy, again, split up from the rest of the team. And Bjergsen all alone.
Fighting once again. He's almost forced to go in on this one,
juke.
dealing a bit of damage, and he does take that alt shadow back to the juke, keeping himself safe. White's moving down for Dragon now, and with that ult being down from Bjergsen, it's going to be a lot easier and a lot less pressure to go for this objective.
Yeah, this should be a very easy Dragon for Samsung White. You have every single ulti ready on their side. Mata will get his very soon, and when you have no ulti in your Zed, you don't really want to fight here. But with the combo team Solo Mid is using, what they can do is they can put Bjergsen in a side lane to split push, and then you have 4 members, Wild Turtle, Lost Boy, Amazing, and Dyrus together to siege down towers here. Samsung White won't allow it.
Now, I would agree under normal circumstances that, yeah, 21 minutes into the game is exactly when he wants Zed to split push, but Looper will just kill him at this point if he tries to do that. It's the easiest answer possible because not only can Ryze win the 1v1, he will also have a teleport threat if he goes to answer.
For sure, and that just shows how Samsung White played the early game really well. They got the Ryze hit. That was why they invested so much gold and time into Loop on this Ryze, because he was going to be the guy stopping Bjergsen in the split push. But that was just very smart play from the start of the game. Sacrifice Imp a little bit, get your top lane ahead instead.
And an almost dark, completely dark top side of the map where Bjergsen goes to farm. He definitely would have met up with Pawn. That featured matchup, not going too bad for those two, a 2-0-3 to a 1-1-0, but they farmed it out quite well in the mid lane. It's when Pawn, now the game opens up, that he really starts to exceed.
And once we get a last whisper on Bjergsen, he might actually be able to, he should actually be able to kill Looper one-on-one, and then we can see the remaining members siege down, because when you have a Lucian, you have to make plays in the mid game, you have to be aggressive, you have to force fights on turrets, fast push them down, you have to Janna with the shield, and you have disengage on both Lulu and Janna, of course.
Still the 3,000 gold lead. Obviously TSM needs to try and make a lot of plays, but it's not their style to play risky when behind. Actually, when we were looking at the OGN regular season, which is group stage, combined with their playoff stage, and then all the LCS regular season, as well as playoffs for North America, when Samsung White wins, we mentioned earlier that they actually have the biggest kill discrepancy in victories, meaning they're incredibly good at just crushing an opponent once they get an edge. 14.5 more kills than opponents in victories. If you look at TSM, they had the fewest death discrepancies and losses. They only lose by 6.3 kills every time they lose. So like when they're behind, they kind of prefer to get bled out than to try and make a really daring play to try and come back, which means that even though we said this was like a risky strategy for White to pick these late game scaling champions, it's kind of an inevitability if they're able to get slightly ahead of TSM that it will drag late and White would win by default.
A lot of pressure on the turret is drawing out these ultimates. We just saw it happen with Bjergsen. Turtle gets caught way too close to this one. Wild Growth comes out again, and 2 ults to not even save the turret goes down. White, again, going to run amok in the jungle and get what they want out of this.
Yeah, Samsung White didn't actually want to overextend here and just pile every single member onto Wild Turtle. Imp, he's looking for Bjergsen.
This could be the lockdown. Mata tried for the flay back, giving enough time for Bjergsen to use his shadow to get out safely, but they have exactly what they need set up before they even get there. The top wave is where they wanted it. They're going to be able to go after the top turret as well.
And even before they started the siege in mid lane, they walked into the jungle of TSM, placed a lot of deep wards, knowing once we take mid tower, we're gonna rotate top lane. We have already slow pushed the wave, and we just walk straight up there. We spot them in the jungle, we get them low, we force flashes. Amazing, he's dead.
You cannot be too close to Mata's hook. It is heat-seeking right now. 7-3, only 24 minutes in, and I guess it doesn't matter what team they're playing against. They will start to bring out the coffins and lock those up. Nailing another one there on Amazing, and they back off with another turret.
That play in particular was amazing, just taking a sloppy route through the jungle, and TSM cannot be sloppy against a team of Samsung White's caliber. He had to jump away from the Twitch, which just made him a sitting duck for Mata's death sentence.
And just look at the minimap. I mean, all the wards from Samsung White, because they're making plays on the top side of the map, they focus all the wards there. And then they go back, find new pink wards, and you can start moving them around the map. Dragon is spawning in 1 minute 45 seconds. Okay, do we want to pick it up? We start setting up wards around this Dragon now. We are ready in time. We're ready way earlier than Team Solo Mid. And once they come in to try and face check us, we have so much single target CC and burst. We just lock them down, pick up another kill, take the Dragon.
With those wards, they're getting everything they want, really being the only one to destroy their own pink wards because they have the ability to place them farther in TSM's jungle once again.
Yep.
25 on this one, 1 minute and 20 on the Dragon. See how if TSM can get the pressure onto this. Great item spikes across the board, obviously at 25 minutes in, but can they be used? Static shift just coming out for Turtle, far behind a finished Ghost Blade on him. And he is looking, actually they're pretty even in gold right now, so could be a good fight, at least for the AD carries. It's all about Looper and Dyrus to get the teleport right on this one.
And all of these wards towards this bottom side so early. I mean, the Dragon is still not up yet. 55 seconds. It's fun when you talk to the teams who playing these Korean teams like Samsung White. They always say, okay, if you walk down 1 minute before Dragon to place wards, never mind, they already got full control. You try 1 minute 30 seconds, they're already there. They're already there. They're always faster than the other team.
Dyrus gets hooked that time. Wild Growth again used in defense. It's not been in aggression yet, along with the team are amazing jumping in. Bjergsen is split pushing top, but he may be needed in this bot lane.
And that right there is an example of White being one step ahead again. You think that you need to ward the blue buff first before you move into the Dragon. Wrong. You need to ward outside your base here against White. And now we're doing a split push war, but the inhibitor from TSM, it's going down.
It's going down, but they know they can't stop this push anyway here, so they just want to get some gold.
We're going to see Bjergsen still doing what he can. This is an inhibitor down.
Oh,
they have a great wave.
Yeah.
They know they cannot fight this. Dyrus does not have that ulti. He just used it. He goes down. Is this really happening? 26 minutes in. He catches on to amazing as well. Samsung White getting everything they want here inside TSM space, and a Nexus turret is going to go down 26-30 in. They are not stopping.
It's a late game comp, but if they win this early, it's even better.
What an amazing use of the late game comp. Every hook, like I said, heat-seeking coming out of Mata. What can they ban? What can they do? TSM has to think about game 2 already. 27 minutes in, the double kill for him. 12-3, and game 1 is over in favor of Samsung White.
And wow, such a great game by Samsung White. There's no mistakes right here. And if you make a single mistake, they will punish you. They will take your entire base as well. TSM tried to trade. They just wanted to get some gold, and suddenly White just push all the way in.
One trade they didn't want to take, and that's the thing. When you're trying to turtle against a 5-man push like that, you cannot get caught.
No.
As soon as they were in hook range, Mata was able to just get the hooks, and of course the game is over right there. Here's the thing, though. That was a game